Have you ever felt like you're the only one trying to do the right thing in a world that seems to have lost its way? Imagine a time, long, long ago, when the whole world was filled with so much chaos and unkindness that it broke God's heart. This is the setting for one of the most incredible stories of faith and survival ever told, the story of Noah and the Great Flood. Back in those days, humanity had drifted far from its purpose. People were selfish, and their thoughts were constantly focused on doing wrong. It was a world spiraling out of control. But amidst all this darkness, there was one man who stood out. His name was Noah. The Bible tells us that Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. While everyone else was caught up in the noise of the world, Noah listened for a different voice, and God saw Noah. He saw his good heart and his faithfulness. So God decided to do something extraordinary. He spoke to Noah, sharing his grief over the state of the world and his plan to wash it clean, to start fresh. But he wasn't going to destroy everything. He chose Noah and his family to be the seeds of a new beginning. And how would they survive? God gave Noah a set of blueprints for a project so massive, it's hard to even imagine. "Build yourself an ark," God commanded. But this wasn't just any boat. It had to be made of cypress wood, with specific dimensions, 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. To give you an idea, that's about 1.5 football fields long. It needed 3 decks, rooms inside, a roof, and a single door in its side. And it had to be coated inside and out with pitch to make it waterproof. This was a monumental task, an architectural marvel designed by God himself. Can you imagine what Noah's neighbors must have thought? Here was this man, miles and miles from the nearest sea, building a gigantic boat in his backyard. The sun was shining. There wasn't a cloud in the sky, and Noah was talking about a world-ending flood. They probably laughed at him, called him crazy, and mocked him every single day. For years, maybe even decades, Noah and his sons hammered away, sawing wood and spreading pitch, all while enduring the ridicule of the entire world. But Noah's faith was stronger than their disbelief. He had heard from God, and that was all that mattered. He obeyed every single instruction, down to the last detail. His actions were a powerful testament to his trust in God's plan, even when it made no sense to anyone else. Then, as the ark neared completion, something even more amazing began to happen. The moment of truth was arriving. God gave Noah the next set of instructions. "Go into the ark, you and your whole family, because I have found you righteous in this generation. Take with you 7 pairs of every kind of clean animal, a male and its mate, and 1 pair of every kind of unclean animal, a male and its mate, and also 7 pairs of every kind of bird, male and female, to keep their various kinds alive throughout the earth." Suddenly, a parade unlike any other began. From every corner of the earth, animals started to arrive. Not in a panicked stampede, but in an orderly procession, guided by an unseen hand. Pairs of lions, herds of elephants, flocks of birds, and slithers of snakes all made their way, 2 by 2, up the ramp and into the massive ark. Noah and his family didn't have to round them up. God brought the animals to them. They just had to open the door and welcome them in. Once Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives, were all safely inside with the animals and enough food for everyone, God himself shut the door. For 7 days, they waited inside the sealed ark. Then, the first drop of rain fell, and another, and another. Soon, it wasn't just rain. The Bible says, "The springs of the great deep burst forth, and the floodgates of the heavens were opened." Water gushed up from the ground and poured down from the sky relentlessly. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights without stopping. The small streams became raging rivers, The rivers became oceans, and the water level rose higher and higher, swallowing up hills and then the tallest mountains. Everything and everyone left outside the ark was swept away in the deluge. The world that had been was gone, cleansed by the mighty waters. But inside the ark, there was safety. It was tossed and turned on the violent waves, but it floated. It was a tiny vessel of hope in a world submerged in judgment. For 150 days, the water covered the earth. Imagine the sounds, the creaking of the wood, the cries of the animals, the constant roar of the water. Yet, through it all, God remembered Noah. He didn't forget the faithful man and his family, or any of the creatures with them. He was their protector, their anchor in the storm. The ark was more than just a boat. It was a promise, a floating sanctuary protected by the hand of God. Finally, after those 150 days, God sent a wind to blow over the earth, and the waters began to recede. Slowly, day by day, the water level dropped, the chaos subsided, and a quiet calm settled over the world. Eventually, the ark came to a gentle stop. It had rested on the mountains of Ararat. The long, dark journey was nearing its end, but they couldn't just open the door. They had to wait for God's timing. Noah, ever patient, opened a window and sent out a raven, which flew back and forth until the water had dried up. Then, he sent out a dove. The first time, the dove found nowhere to land and returned to the ark. Noah waited 7 more days and sent the dove out again. This time, it came back in the evening, and in its beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. This was the sign they had been waiting for. It was proof that life was returning to the earth, that new growth had begun. It was a message of peace and hope. After waiting another 7 days, Noah sent the dove out a 3rd time, and this time it did not return. The world was ready. Then God said to Noah, "Come out of the ark, you and your wife and your sons and their wives. Bring out every kind of living creature that is with you." The great door was opened, and Noah's family stepped out onto dry ground, taking their first breath of fresh, clean air. Then came the animals, pouring out of the ark to begin repopulating the earth. The first thing Noah did was build an altar to the Lord. He offered a sacrifice of thanks, his heart overflowing with gratitude for their miraculous survival. God was pleased, and he made a promise, not just to Noah, but to all of humanity and every living creature for all generations to come. He said, "Never again will I curse the ground because of humans, and never again will I destroy all living creatures as I have done." And as a sign of this everlasting promise, this unbreakable covenant, God set a magnificent rainbow in the clouds. He said, "Whenever I bring clouds over the earth and the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will remember my covenant." So whenever you see a rainbow painting the sky after a storm, remember the story of Noah. It's a story that reminds us that even when the world seems dark and hopeless, faith and obedience to God can lead to protection, renewal, and a beautiful new beginning. It's a story of God's judgment, but even more, it's a story of His incredible grace, His love, and His promise of hope. Thank you so much for watching and sharing in this incredible story with us. If it moved you, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel for more stories of faith. We'd love to have you in our community. See you next time.